Hi, this is Ali, and this is the answer to the critical reflection question. How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or the issues? My opening sequence, Sayam, is inspired heavily by Devdi, Trainspotting, and Requiem for a Dream. And in all three of these movies, the main character is abusing alcohol, and it starts off with something less when it comes to the alcohol and the substance abuse, but as they progress throughout the movie, they get worse and worse, and their usage worsens as well. And by the end of the movie, they are at the worst they've ever been when it comes to the reliance on the alcohol as well, and when it comes to them general well-being as well. Alcohol leads them to the worst of the worst. Yeah. General mise-en-scene in those movies are definitely cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, cocaine, and so things of that sort. And I try to do that in my movie as well. And when it comes to those movies, the movies that I took inspiration from, they rely on green or blue lighting to show intoxication, and they focus on fancy camera work as well. Is using snowy cams, fast transitions and cuts in their movies. So I did that as well. My mise-en-scene in my movie relied upon an alcohol bottle, cigarettes, cigarette boxes, uh, clothes, messy room, like a messy room with a lot of clothes. And yeah, I think that's about it. Alcohol being the most persistent thing in my alcohol bottle being the most persistent thing in my opening sequence, as it was there in most of the scenes, as it was showing how the main character is being driven by that, and all the confrontation that he goes through with his partner, that's Gia. um, it is going downhill because of that alcohol bottle, and once she leaves, it is still there in the second act of the movie. It is still there, and when he's consuming the alcohol, everything around him gets blurry. And that is how I have used the alcohol and the substance, basically alcohol in this case, as the main driving force that leads the main character or the person involved into their worst places that they have ever been, as I've seen in the movies. And since we know that we have talked about the mise-en-scene, let's talk about the camera work. The camera work is usually really fancy in the movies that I've been inspired by, mainly using a snorri cam to show that the main character is all over the place, and to have this eerie look, and like to show that the main character is like a bit faded. So I did that by using a tripod and sticking it to a belt, and using my and telling my actor to hold the tripod like this and then move like this to show that he is under intoxication. And I also use fast motion blur, slow FPS, so I could have that motion blur effect when the camera is moving around the main protagonist. In the second act of the movie, in which there is green light as compared to the first act of the movie, which has normal warm palette sunlight. I did that to distinguish the first act of the movie with the second act of the movie, with the first act being with the first act being the confrontation and a messy room and a messy mind state, showing that yes, the repercussions are still there. Yes, the alcohol is still affecting the main character. Yes, everything is still messy, but once he actually does get up after the transition, once he actually does consume alcohol, when he's sitting on the table, everything around him is green to highlight the intoxication that I've seen in the movies, and to just make a clear distinction between the first act and the second act. And then when he's sitting on the table, the camera is a bit lopsided to show that his world is a bit lopsided right now after his girl that is Gia left. And I've used the green color, as I've seen in the movies, to make a clear example of how intoxication is usually shown in media. And my the fact that the way I have deviated from the conventions could be that the female main character, that is Gia, she leaves the main character Sayam after she realizes that he is relapsed into the alcohol and substance abuse. So in this movie, or in this opening sequence, the girl that is usually shown to be conforming herself and bending her ways and changing herself according to the main character's likes and preferences and according to the um, main character's current life. The girl doesn't really do that in my movie. The girl gets up and leaves the main character instead of being the nurturer or the, oh, I can work my way out of this. She does leave in the end. So there is that. And the way my movie relies on the conventions is that it uses the green color in the second half of the movie. It uses it uses the smash cuts as I've seen in the movies. It uses the um, different sorts of camera works as I've seen in the movies, such as Snorri Cam or such as the montage that has in which the montage in the scene that has Sayam sitting on a chair and the camera is moving around moving around him. And when it comes to the color and camera, I think I've talked about that. And when it comes to the general plot of the movie as well, it is shown that once he is getting more and more involved in the alcohol and the substance, he is worsening. Everything around him is blurring. Everything around him is not significant anymore, as the rooms also play a really big part to tell what is actually happening in the main character's head. So it gets easier for the viewer to describe it as well. As in Act 1, the main character is having a messy room, but in the Act 2, everything around the main character is blurry when he's consuming alcohol. So in the Act 1, his mind state is messy, his room is messy, but in Act 2, everything is all over the place, but not really all over the place. The color is green, the table is clean, but it only has an alcohol bottle on it. Everything is blurred, but he is still drinking, and there is still the alcohol bottle that is vividly shown, but everything else is not really being taken account, being shown as something important. Um, yeah. And when it comes to the typography, I think I've used really conventional subtitles, clear subtitles for my movie. And when it comes to the fonts, I've used in the beginning to show show the credits of the movie and to show the title of the movie. I used the stylized font to show that it is a stylish movie. It relies on different things. It's not a conventional movie that just follows with the same things, but it is experimental. Most of the psychological drama films that are involving substance abuse are a bit experimental when it comes to the camera work, when it comes to the lighting, as I've seen in the movies as I've talked about from the movies that I have mentioned. Okay, so let's also talk about the sound. So I've used this one song called Indiscipline by King Crimson to build up after the confrontation that happens after Gia leaves. I have used this one song, and then it slowly builds up and up and up until there is a smash cut. After the smash cut, the sound gets really, really loud, and there is a beat drop to show that the smash cut took place. And I've seen that from movies as well. I've seen that in Dave D when the main character in that movie smashes something, there is like a really loud music, and there is like just tension after the smash cut. So I've used that as well. And I think other than that, in Act 1, I have not really used much sound to enhance the act. More thought is put into the overall mise scene of the Act 1. So yeah, that's about it. And secondly, when it comes to the second part of the question, how does it represent social groups and issues? Let's get to that right now. It represents mostly teenagers or young adults facing heartbreaks, facing difficulties in their life, facing uh, not being able to be cautious with their spending, not being able to spend on the right things, not being able to cope up with things properly. It focuses on these aspects, these issues, but with early young adults and teenagers mostly, as mostly teenagers and young adults are the most shown people in media to be going through alcohol, cigarettes, and all sorts of substance abuses. As I've seen in my movies, as I've seen from the movies that I am inspired from, and as I've seen in general media, since my movie was revolving around social groups that were teenagers and issues that were regarding their relationships, regarding their money, it is pretty much correlating with them. Teenagers usually are shown to be suffering, or are shown to be taking things too seriously, or they're just like going through something that is pushing them to use alcohol or cigarettes, as it is very much shown in media that when something bad happens, when heartbreak happens, teenagers or young adults get to a bar or start smoking a cigarette, and they usually then are shown to then um, dir- get worse even from that point on. They don't deal with heartbreaks well, as it's usually shown in media. Um, this is an issue that they are shown to have. They're shown to not be able to regulate their emotions. They're shown to get really upset over heartbreak. They're shown to rush into alcohol or cigarettes or substance abuse. So I've worked upon that, and I've used the teenagers and young adults and their conventions that are being shown in media, the way they're being shown as people that get really hasty with substance abuse. People are shown to be using, young adults are shown to be especially very much interested in drinking illegally as well in media, as I've seen in Jump Street and as I've seen in Superbad. So I have used these conventions and these social groups to showcase the issues that reside with them in media and in general life as well. And this is the answer to the first question of my critical reflection, and I hope you guys really liked it. Yes, bye bye. That's it.